In today's weekly Forex forecast, we are talking about the DXY, the EURUSD, the Pound USD, the Dollar Yen, and also the dollar versus the Canadian dollar for the week ending November 1st, 2024. All right, so let's go ahead, guys, and jump right into it here with the DXY, which we talked about 104 to 104.50 at length following the 102.60 reclaim. So if you've seen recent videos, you should be very familiar with this. But in case this is your first time watching, I will run through this quickly. You can see back here going to basically the start of 2023, we had this ascending channel here for the DXY. So really clean price action through this area. And what you'll notice here is we did get the breakdown through this region. Now, following weeks of consolidation down here in this area, what you'll notice is that we did get a falling wedge that formed right down here. And we talked about this when it was occurring. And in the weekly forecast, with this pattern right here in focus, okay, what I said was to wait for a break above 101 to target this area up here around 102 and potentially 102.60. Now, this up here is the bottom of that channel we just looked at. It's also a key horizontal that goes back over a year. So this was a very critical level here for the DXY. Given the significant rally that we saw back here, I was not looking for shorts in this area. In fact, I was looking for a reclaim up here to target levels like 103.20 and 104 to 104.50. So this is what we saw targeted. We did see a pullback here on Thursday, although today is once again just rallying right back toward those highs. So we're going to have to wait and see, is this a case like this red candle back here? And both of these are very similar in the sense that we really had no wick on this candle and pretty much no wick here. So you can see that we did get a bearish engulfing here on this candle. And the interesting part about this is that this was also a Friday. So Friday candle, this was a Thursday candle, so end of week. And you can see here where this did not trigger a reversal of any type. We just got the market moving higher. Now, it's a little bit different here because 104 to 104.50 is a much stronger resistance than anything back here. But, we'll have to wait and see if this does confirm. This candle right here is technically a bearish engulfing as it engulfed the body of the previous candle. But in order to confirm this, you would have to get a daily close below this candle here, which clearly it doesn't look like we're going to get. Okay, so, right now, guys, the jury is out as far as whether or not we get a pullback from the DXY. I mean, you would think that we should, given the significance of this rally. I mean, this has been pretty much up only here for really all month, all of October, with the exception of a few days here. So what I think it's going to take for the DXY to cancel any type of pullback is going to be a daily close above 104.50. So I think if next week we were to get the DXY closing up here in this area, then it would flip this to support. And as unlikely as that may seem, I mean, don't count it out because we've seen the DXY do this before in recent years. So we could get that. Now, if we don't, and the DXY stays below this area, then we are looking at the potential for a pullback into some highs like this down here around 103.20 and potentially even a retest of the bottom of that channel. Okay, so right now, guys, I don't like the idea, and I've said this at length for weeks, but I don't like the idea of looking for US dollar shorts. At the same time, though, with the market trading right where it is, if you are looking for US dollar longs, you also have to be incredibly careful. In fact, I don't really advise it right now just because of where this market's trading. So this move back here, just to kind of wrap up before we move on, this move back here from the 102.60 reclaim up here toward the first target up here, second target up here, this all was very straightforward. Now it's a little bit more questionable in terms of, do we get the pullback first before higher, or do we simply break this and head higher toward some of these highs up here? Either way though, guys, I do think, as I've said for weeks now, I do think that this reclaim back here at 102.60 is enough to keep the US dollar bullish overall for the rest of the year. Next up is the EURUSD, which tested this area down here that I talked about at 107.60 to 107.80 at on the dot. We got the sweep of that August low back here. So this is what I've talked about. This was my final target following the breakdown below 111.10, also the break below 110. So following these two breakdowns, this down here was my final target. We also had stops along the way, like this up here at 109, and also this down here at 108.40. So this is what I talked about. You can see we got a bounce right there exactly from that trend line that I've talked about. And you can also see where what I've said over the past few days is if we get a bounce from this area, Okay, I think you've got to be really careful just blindly buying. Now, this right here, okay, this move would have been nice for, a little scalp, right? For, maybe a 24-hour move. But as far as a swing trade, the only way that this turns into a swing trade, in my opinion, is to get a close above 108.40. This is what I've said recently, that we'd have to get the Euro USD trading up here to expose levels like 109. All right, until this is, the case, then really you're looking at a new range between these two levels. And if we were to get the DXY breaking above 104.50 next week, the Euro USD breaking below this area, then that, of course, would be bearish. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see right now. But again, this is your new range right here for the euro. If we see a break below this low, that would be bearish toward levels like 106.80 or so. And if, as I said, we get a close above 108.40, then that could provide some temporary relief for the euro toward levels like 109. But as I said with the DXY, though, I think that 102.60 reclaim for the dollar is going to be enough for the US dollar to stay bullish for the rest of the year. So any bounces here, in my opinion, are likely to be temporary. And I really think that eventually, we are going to see a break below this trend line to target some of these lows. All right, so next up is the pound here, GBPUSD. And before we go on, guys, if you do want to join a trustworthy broker that I've trusted for 7 years, where you can trade Forex, crypto, commodities, and indices, and also get lifetime access to the VIP group, click on the link at the top of this video. That's going to take you to a link in the description for Blueberry Markets where you can sign up there. And if you deposit $1,000 or more, I will give you lifetime access to our VIP group. All right, so check that out. If you're on the website, you can scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page and see the link that says broker. All right, so looking at GBPUSD, this was another one, guys, where I had a trade idea. Okay, I put on a trade from this area up here. So I talked about it following this breakdown right here. We had this high, this closing price back here, all these lows. We got the breakdown on this candle, 130.50 flip back to resistance here, and 129 was my target. So I talked about all of this in recent videos, and one reason why 129 was my target was you can see that back here, this is a key level for this market. However, it's also, or was, an imbalance based on this candle. Notice how there was no retracement into this candle following the breakout. All right, so these areas tend to serve as magnets, especially when you see a technical breakdown like we got back here. All right, so this close below was my cue to look for shorts up here at 130.50, target 129, perfectly hit. So where do we go from here? Like I mentioned in the video from the other day, ideally we see some relief from this market. I mean, ideally you want to try to short higher up, but I just don't know that we're going to get it with the look of the DXY right now. Ideally we would have seen the pound move back here into this failed area. And again, I don't know if we're going to get this simply because of how strong the DXY has looked. So alternatively for this market, if we get a close below this area next week, something down here convincing, then it does flip this to resistance and this downtrend continues toward lows like this down here, right around 127 or so. So, I mean, pretty straightforward, guys. We either get the bounce up here to look for shorts above some of these highs, but again, the DXY is going to have to pull back significantly for that to happen. Alternatively, if we get the pound closing below this area, right around 128.90 or so, closing down here, that would open up the lows down here around 127. So next up, we have the dollar yen, guys, which is getting very, very interesting here at 151 to 152. And the reason for that is, first of all, this trend line here off of the one of the lows here from early 2022. You can see we've got lows through here, this low, and the breakdown. You can even see where it was retested through this area. Now, furthermore, you can also see where it's this high, this one back here, highs and lows through here, lows through here, and a low through here. So there is a lot going on, guys, at 151 to 152 here for the dollar yen. Now, one thing that I've maintained, and I've said this to VIP members at length, but the aggressiveness of the US dollar recently, and I talked about this with the DXY too, but this move right here, I did not want to be looking for blind shorts in areas like this, And right now, the dollar yen looks like it's pushing to try to reclaim this area. Now, it's a little bit indecisive if today closes right where it is, simply because, a trend line like this is a bit subjective, and you've got lows like this down here, but then at the same time, you've got these lows up here, closing prices up here, same thing back here. So really for the dollar yen, guys, if this is going to be a bullish reclaim of this area, first of all, I want to say if that happens, this is going to be, in my opinion, incredibly bullish here for this pair, just because this down here would be a massive failed breakdown, okay? And, again, it's kind of unclear if we're going to get it right now. We do still have a little bit of work to do here, but it does look like the dollar yen is trying to reclaim this area. So if it does, it's going to open up areas like this up here around 155.60 and potentially those highs up around 160. Okay, so definitely one to watch here early next week if we get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday closing higher. Okay, closing up here in this area and really confirming this, right? Closing up here in this area, then in my opinion, this right here is a reclaim and we're targeting higher levels. Now, if early next week we see this sell off and closing back below levels like this right here around 151 or so, all right, closing back down here in this area, then that would be bearish and trigger a pullback down here towards some of these lows. Okay, so, definitely one to watch right now. I think it's going to take another day or two at least to kind of figure out where this market is likely to go here over the coming weeks. All right, so last up, guys, I want to finish up with the dollar CAD, which I don't talk about too often. And one of the reasons for that is really for the past 2 years or so, we have seen this market just go completely sideways and just be really, really choppy. But one thing, though, that I've maintained for over a year now is that, in fact, basically for about 2 years now, is that we are likely to see eventually this channel play out. Okay, so you can see that back here in 2015, we got a retest down here of support, run up here toward resistance, incredibly aggressive move here. Eventually a move down here towards support following a little bit of a channel through here. And then we got the move up here toward resistance. And you get the idea, right? Back and forth. Well, this has taken a long time to play out, but I do think given the price action here, we've got the rally, right? We've got a rounded bottom that's formed here. I do think that this area up here is coming for the dollar CAD. Now, what is it going to take here for this market to finally break out? Well, if you look here off of this consolidation. So first of all, let's take a look here at the daily and go back to this consolidation back here in 2020. Okay, so these are the range lows, and this is the same area that is serving as resistance right now. Okay, so if we move over here, you can see where we've had wicks above this mark, but we have yet to see a daily close above. Now, I personally would want to see, with a level this significant, I would want to see a weekly close above this. And preferably something convincing, because right now you can see we've got the weekly close back here, this one right on the line, this one right on the line. And so far we're just above that mark. I mean, this would be very, very close. I would prefer to see something up here in this area to really, convince me that this has flipped to new support on the weekly chart. Now, what could confirm this is if today closes where it is now, which it looks like it probably will be around this area somewhere. And then next week we were to get, maybe a slight pullback and then the week closes back above this mark. Okay. If we get 2 weekly closes up here in this area, then in my opinion, that confirms it and we're looking at a push higher. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is that even though we're looking at, a weekly time frame, 2 week time frames, etc., this would be a massive move, guys. I mean, first of all, like I said, this is basically 2 years of consolidation back here. We've got a rounded bottom. We've got this trend line here off the lows, and this move right here up toward levels like 142, 147, etc. There's a lot of room to work with here. And furthermore, okay, if we look here, like this is 400 pips up here, this is about 800 pips. All right, and furthermore, the longer a market consolidates like this, the more explosive the resulting breakout is likely to be. So the fact that the dollar CAD has spent the last 2 years doing this tells me that once this breaks out, it is probably not going to look back. And you can see just how aggressive this market can be when it finally breaks out. Look at pushes like this back here, okay? Pushes like this, even this back here. And you can see also same thing through here, right? Now, granted, this was COVID, so a bit of an outlier, but, still, you can see moves like this back here, all the time from this market. Even this move lower, right? This pair can move incredibly fast once it gets going. And again, this consolidation for 2 years now, once this breaks out, I do expect a very explosive move to the upside. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications. Don't forget to join us in VIP. Claim your 90% off lifetime access. See the link in the description of this video, or if you're on the website, click on that Join VIP link. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you again next week.